Welcome to today's Explainer, everyone. Today, we're skipping the emotion and blind faith, and we're diving straight into hard, objective facts. We're going to stack modern scientific discoveries up against a text that was written over 1,400 years ago. Just picture this. You find a book out in the middle of the desert, right? And somehow it perfectly describes the physics of the expanding universe, the microscopic details of human biology, and deep Earth geology. These are literally facts that we've only just verified in the last few decades using advanced satellites and electron microscopes.
So that brings us to one incredibly simple, logical question to kick off this investigation. How exactly could a man living in the 7th century, someone who couldn't read or write, possess knowledge that would take the rest of humanity another 13 centuries and incredibly high-tech instruments to figure out? We're taking a completely objective historical journey today to look at 3 undeniable scientific parallels found in the Quran. And honestly, it's going to challenge you to look at both history and science through a completely different lens.
To break this down logically, we're going to hit 3 main areas today. First, unlocking the expanding universe. Second, the incredibly detailed stages of human embryology. And third, the concept of mountains acting as deep Earth pegs. All right, Section 1, Unlocking the Expanding Universe, going from the macro to the micro. To really grasp how crazy this first point is, we have to look at what humanity used to believe about the cosmos. For centuries, literally centuries, the smartest scientific minds on the planet were totally convinced the universe was perfectly static. They thought it had just always existed in the exact same size and state, period. It wasn't until the 1920s when Edwin Hubble, looking through some seriously powerful new telescopes, realized that galaxies are actually moving away from us. That massive discovery is what eventually gave us the modern Big Bang Theory, the idea that the universe started from a single, highly dense, joined point and then just exploded outward.
Now here is where it gets absolutely fascinating. Notice how the ancient Arabic terminology totally aligns with that modern timeline. In chapter 21, verse 30 of the Quran, the text specifically asks if the heavens and the earth were a joined entity and then were separated. It's like a linguistic cipher. The ancient Arabic word used there is ratq, which means sewn together or blended into one single entity, and fat means ripping them apart or separating them. From a purely objective scientific standpoint, that is a shockingly precise description of the initial singularity and the Big Bang that followed.
And honestly, this next part illustrates the point even better. In chapter 51, verse 47, the text states that the heaven was constructed with strength and that we are its expander. This specific Arabic word here is musi'on, which translates explicitly to expanding it. Think about that for a second. A text originating from a 7th century desert explicitly stated that the universe is actively expanding. That's a fact that literally shocked 20th century astronomers, just sitting there in plain sight. Moving on to Section 2. Stages of human embryology, diving into the micro-universe. So, let's shrink things down from the massive emptiness of space to the super complex world of human development inside the womb. Before we had microscopes, humanity was basically just guessing about how reproduction worked. People actually believed some wildly inaccurate things, like the idea that a tiny, fully formed miniature human was just sitting inside the sperm, waiting to grow like a water bead. It's kind of funny to think about now, right? Because modern science has obviously proven that human formation is a microscopic, highly specific, and carefully staged cellular process. But here's the thing. Without microscopes, without ultrasounds or any modern medical imaging whatsoever, this 1,400-year-old text maps out that exact biological sequence in chapter 23. It breaks early human formation down into these incredibly precise steps. It describes the progression starting from a sperm drop, moving to a clinging clot, and then becoming a chewed lump, all before the bones and flesh are even formed.
Let's actually look at the medical precision of these terms, because the data here is wild. The Arabic word alaka describes both a clinging clot and a leech. While when modern embryologists look at a 22 to 25-day-old embryo, what do they see? It literally clings to the uterine wall and looks exactly like a leech. It even feeds on the mother's blood just like a leech does. Then you hit the next stage, mudga, which translates to a chewed lump. By week 4 of development, these things called somites form along the back of the embryo. And if you look at a picture of it, it looks exactly like a piece of chewed gum with distinct teeth marks in it. It's uncanny.
And hey, you don't just have to rely on my linguistic comparison here. Let's look at the modern experts. Professor Keith Moore from the University of Toronto is widely recognized as one of the world's absolute top authorities on anatomy and embryology. He's a non-Muslim scientist who reviewed this exact data objectively
and the conclusion he reached was profound. He stated that it was totally clear to him these statements must be divinely inspired simply because almost all of this knowledge was completely undiscovered until many, many centuries later. That is a massive scientific authority acknowledging the undeniable accuracy of this ancient text.
All right, bringing us to our third and final section, mountains as deep earth pegs, looking at the geological foundation.
Let's zoom back out to the surface of our planet and take a look at the massive geological structures we live right on top of, our mountains. Now, on the surface, a mountain really just looks like a giant pile of rocks sitting on the ground, right? But modern geology has uncovered this critical principle called isosity. Isosity basically proves that mountains aren't just sitting on the surface. They actually have these massive, deep subterranean roots that are driven directly down into the Earth's crust, and their specific function is to stabilize the Earth's lithosphere.
To really wrap your head around the scale of this, think about Mount Everest. Everest rises roughly 9 kilometers above sea level, but geologists have discovered that its root system is an absolute monster. It plunges an astonishing 125 kilometers deep into the Earth. That is a massive hidden structure.
So when we put the ancient text side by side with modern geological diagrams, the parallel is just incredible. In chapter 78, the text asks, "Have we not made the earth a resting place, and the mountains as stakes?" The ancient Arabic word used there is autad, which literally translates to the pegs or stakes you'd use to anchor a tent deep into the dirt. On top of that, chapter 21 explicitly says mountains were placed in the earth lest it should shift with them. I mean, that perfectly mirrors our modern understanding of isostasy. Deep, stabilizing mountain roots actually prevent the Earth's crust from shifting around. Which brings us to our final section, the ultimate logical conclusion. Let's bring all this data together. We've journeyed from the furthest, darkest reaches of space all the way down into the microscopic biology of the womb and back out to the deep tectonic plates of the Earth. So what do all these objective facts actually point us towards? We've just seen an absolutely pristine record of scientific accuracy spanning physics, biology, and geology. Every single one of these phenomena was recorded perfectly, hundreds of years before the technology even existed to verify a single word of it. When you analyze this logically, the text presents zero scientific contradictions. It's not pretending to be a science textbook, but it is undoubtedly a book of incredible scientific science.
Look at it from a strictly abstract logical standpoint. Think of it kind of like software. If a piece of computer code is completely flawless, basic logic dictates that it didn't just write itself by accident, right? A flawless code is the definitive signature of a highly intelligent programmer working behind the scenes. When you see modern science finally proving the hyper-precise claims of a 1,400-year-old code, an analytical mind really has to stop and consider the source of that code. Just think about that mental image for a second. A massive space telescope, a developing microscopic embryo, and an ancient manuscript all sitting side by side. Science is literally just now catching up to it. If you found this logical analysis eye-opening, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and share this explainer so we can spread this knowledge to fellow truth seekers and science enthusiasts. And hey, I have a challenge for you. Don't just take my word for it. Go read the translation of the text for yourself with a completely open, analytical mind. Could the ultimate scientific truth have been waiting for us out in the desert this entire time? Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.